Attention, this video does not have an intro. To see the intro, please watch the other version of this video. For those blissfully unaware, the creators of Pokemon, Game Freak, have this funny little habit of releasing two of the same game for the same price, with the only slight adjustment being that some virtual animals can only be found in one or the other. The phrase, "gotta catch 'em all," is a lie, because in most games, you can't. Oh, in Scarlet, you get access to Stunky and Skuntank, but in Violet, in Violet, you get Gulpin and Swalot. I wonder how many sales of each game were decided on this one factor. Maybe like 0? And we all know why Game Freak does this. It's because they plan we're going to buy both versions to complete the Pokedex. But if they think a sizable amount of people will do that, they're inhaling more copium than the Unova fans who still believe we're getting black and white remakes any earlier than 2026. And this is not a problem that is going away. In fact, Pokemon are getting statistically less accessible. In Red and Blue, not counting evolution lines, there were 6 Pokemon that could only be caught in one of the games. In Scarlet and Violet, there were 23. Almost 4 parties worth of Pokemon that you can't get through normal means. Yes, I know this is partially because these games have slightly different stories. Different crazy neglectful professors spawn in different sandwich-eating motorbikes that they get clapped by. This spawns in a whole array of other Pokemon from 2 different timelines. But plot relevance or not, Paradox Pokemon are being put in the version exclusive pile. And it's not just the main series that has this paywalled phenomenon. For how much love I give the Mystery Dungeon series, it too has its fair share of version exclusives. Even if there are no rewards for recruiting every Pokemon to your cult, I mean Adventure Squad, I'd be pretty bummed out if I realized I couldn't roleplay as my favorite virtual animal. Ever wondered who the Pokemon that's been version exclusive the most is? You might think Caterpie or Weedle. It turns out Pinsir is the most elusive bug of all time, being unobtainable in at least one version of a game a whopping 8 times. Bro is like, who want me? Well, clearly Game Freak only thinks 50% of people do. Of course, you also have the version exclusive Megas from X and Y, and there are also version exclusives in the movies? Ash's Tranquil appears in both versions of White, Victini and Zekrom, and Black, Victini and Reshiram. However, in Victini and Zekrom, Wild Tranquil also appear in the intro. Oh great, what a wonderful use of animation budget. Now I get it, from an outsider's perspective, this might not seem that deep. So what if I can't use Mawile during a playthrough of Pokemon Sapphire? Well, you're right, apart from the completionists that wanted 100% dex completion, it wasn't. You just picked the version that had the Pokemon you liked more, and that was that. The problem now is that Pokemon have decided to hide pretty useful items behind Pokedex completion. Take Scarlet and Violet for example. These diplomas for completing your Pokedex actually mean something. For the main Pokedex, you received a Shiny Charm, which triples the chance of you finding a palette-swapped virtual animal, and for completing the Kitakami Pokedex, you'll be entrusted with the Glimmering Charm, an actual useful item that lets you get more shards from Terra raids. Sure, these items aren't locking you out of anything, they're only making processes easier. I mean, shiny Pokemon are completely cosmetic. Maybe you should bother hunting for a job application instead. Let's not forget about the version exclusive legendary Pokemon either. Not the ones on the cover. It's pretty easy to figure out that they won't exactly be shared. I'm talking about the rest of them. Hey dude, are you a fan of Palkia from the critically acclaimed video game Pokemon Pearl? Well, finally after 8 years, you can now rediscover the ancient beast in Omega Ruby and not Alpha Sapphire, and of course you need both of them in your party to encounter Giratina. Don't worry, I'm sure this was all done for completely valid reasons that are not predatory whatsoever. And sometimes Game Freak are nice and give us what I've coined version rare Pokemon. This happens when 2 Pokemon have a relationship where one is super common in one game while the other is less likely to show up than Ash's father, and vice versa. This gives the illusion of a version exclusive when in reality activity, you just need to roll around in the grass for an hour like someone who's just taken hay fever tablets for the first time. But what happens when something objectively important to a player base becomes locked? These two are Raging Bolt and Gouging Fire. You may know these guys from classics such as Pokemon Gold and Silver or Jurassic Park 2, and they're pretty good in battle. In fact, they're currently the 4th and 15th most common Pokemon found on teams in the official competitive format VGC. Oh wow, how can I get them? Well, it's quite simple, budding competitive player. First, you have to complete the main story of the game, then pay $35 for the game's DLC, catch 150 unique Pokemon in one section of the DLC, and complete a whole side story in that section too. After that, you catch 200 Pokemon in another section of the DLC, and Raging Bolt is now ready for collection. Oh, but I spent a bunch of time doing that and all I got was this weird goat thing instead. Aha, my bad. I forgot to mention this all has to be done in Pokemon Scarlet, otherwise your efforts amount to literally nothing. What? Sorry, I guess you should have built a time machine, gone back in time and known that 1, these guys were going to exist, and 2, they were going to be beasts in competitive. Now this usually wouldn't be a problem because the top VGC players would always hack their Pokemon in, but these days the Pokemon company has clamped down super hard on detecting and punishing any Pokemon that look to be generated illegally. This leaves some competitive players either scrounging for someone else's or having to spend almost $100 completing a game they basically already own. Having said that though, there remains the age-old counterpoint. Why don't you just trade for the other version exclusives?
What? Nah, I never knew that.
Sure, there are some slight roadblocks such as Nintendo Switch Online costing money, but yeah, this is more or less still true. You can just trade with someone who has the different version to complete your Pokedex. But where's the fun in that? Like, instead of going out into the wilderness to find these creatures, I'm stuck navigating through a Wi-Fi menu. Hello, this is Nintendo support. How can I help you? Yeah, so my Nintendo Switch Online ran out while I was trading my Charizard, and now it looks a bit different. I'm so sorry about that. To fix this problem, as well as your new appearance, we'll need you to pay your annual $19.99 as soon as possible. What do you mean my appearance? I wanted to be gotta catch them all, not just gotta catch the majority of them and then exchange some of them on the stock market. I think this is why I liked Legends Arceus so much. You still had the opportunity to trade if you wanted to, but it wasn't instrumental in completing the game. Unless you didn't want to collect all those little Korok seed wisps in the Spiritomb quest, of course. And when you receive a traded Pokemon, it wouldn't automatically register in your Pokedex. You'd actually have to go out and, you know, research it. I swear, I don't just enjoy torturing the wildlife with legendaries. But let me know your thoughts on version exclusive Pokemon. Do you like them? Do you wish they'd never been born? And if you think I deserve it, consider giving this video a like or subscribing to the channel for more videos. And I'll see you next time.